You are now listening to the Building Her Dream podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with introverted women entrepreneurs who are building their dream lives and businesses on their own terms. Hosted by business operations strategist, author, and the founder of Building Her Dream, Shayla Burton. To learn more about this podcast and our magazine, visit www.buildingherdream.com. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Building Her Dream podcast. I'm your host and lifelong introvert, Shayla Burton, and I'm so excited to chat with today's guest. She is Kennita Hickman, a woman who wears many hats. She's a micro influencer, a writer, content producer, and an executive producer, and the founder of Catera, and she's from my area, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hello, Kennita. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Shayla, thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining me, and I'm so excited to chat with you today. Now, before we dive into more about you and your work, I'm wondering, like, if you could wake up tomorrow and have your perfect dream life, what would that look like for you?
Oh man. Oh man. Okay. Perfect dream life. That is such a tough question because I'm
I
thinking a bunch
know.
of things. Okay. So I'm thinking um I would be taking Pilates.
Okay.
I would have the money to have a private trainer for Pilates. Um yeah, I think perfect life. I'm making the money that I want to make.
Yeah.
I'm fully immersed in the media company that I'm building now. I'm able to provide opportunities to other community members through the media company. And I just have a full fledged media company, but also I have boundaries. So,
Okay.
like, I'm still able to live the life I live now, where I can go out and people don't really know who I am and, that type of
Mhm.
thing. That would be my perfect life. I think the thing that's missing is
Okay.
I don't have all the money yet, but I'm getting there.
Gotcha. Okay. Would you still live in Milwaukee?
I think I would. I
Hmm.
would. I would still live in Milwaukee. Um, because I think the cost of living is really good. And when I think about some of the weather related stuff that happens in other cities, we don't have
Yes.
that here. I love that Milwaukee is small
Mm.
and that the traffic is really good. But I would probably be traveling to Detroit and Toronto, Canada a lot
Okay.
because I would have the money to do that. And so I really love Detroit. Um, I'm in my head, I'm like, do I say this? But I'm going to say it. I think I love Detroit's arts and culture sector a little bit more than
Okay.
Milwaukee. I found when I was in Detroit, I was super excited to go to plays there, not as much here. So I would definitely see myself doing a lot more of that, traveling into Detroit, taking day trips, that type of thing.
Nice. Sounds lovely. I'll have to check out Detroit myself.
Yeah, Detroit is nice. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Okay. Well, Kanita, for those of us who may not be familiar with you, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and the work that you do?
Hmm. So I live in Milwaukee. You mentioned that. I really just love local culture, music, visual arts, um, authors, businesses. And I've been really fortunate since like age 14 to be able to immerse myself in that space. Excuse me. So I think at my core, I'm somebody who loves to share other people's stories. So I don't know that I consider myself a storyteller, but I do consider myself a conduit for other people to share their stories. Um, and I really like those. micro artists, those local restaurants, those micro fashion companies. I really love people who are like on the bubble. That's very exciting for me. And so like I said, I've been fortunate to kind of make my rounds through um writing and radio and public relations. Like I've kind of done a little bit of everything, but I found that a lot of my work is often in service to local culture and community.
Mm, okay. So if, we're looking for, artists or maybe, great spots to visit locally that are kind of hidden, you would be the person we should reach out to because you would know where to find the good spots.
Oh, absolutely. The good restaurants. I mean, now I know we're going to talk a little bit about the guide in a minute, but um, again, those micro brands all across the country that need connecting, that you need to know about.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I would say I'm definitely in that space.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I love that. So you mentioned the guide. What guide are you talking about?
First ever holiday guide of Black owned businesses. And I think I really wanted to keep it small. So there's only 13 brands. But I
Okay.
think for people who used to get the JCPenney catalog back in the day, or like IKEA, or for my fashion girlies who are Gen X Delia's catalogs, I used to get those. Um, the holiday guide will feel a little reminiscent of having this tangible thing, except of course it's digitized. But 13 brands, five in Milwaukee, eight outside of the city. Yeah, and it's black owned businesses that you are likely considering purchasing for the holiday season anyways. You know what I mean? So like you're probably already looking at watches, but you should download my free guide because there's a black owned watch brand that should be on your radar.
Mm, okay. What inspired you to create this guide?
Um, a few things. I think the biggest one, and you and I are friends, so we've had these conversations just about. So, in the background, I've just been building this list just because I'm
Mhm.
curious about small businesses. And I think I'm less risk averse in that way where I'll spend the money to try out the thing in ways that other people aren't. And I think with conversations with you and with some of my other friends, it was like, well, what is the best application for this? And having a newsletter that I charge people for didn't feel really good to me because I was like, that doesn't feel like the value add I think it should be. And also, I hate newsletters, by the way.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't like that. The holiday guide felt like the best application of connecting brands to people and people to brands, especially in a city like Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where we are a flyover city. People don't necessarily recognize us as a buying power or a buying potential. And so I think this is introducing brands to Milwaukee audiences and introducing Milwaukee audiences to brands.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Why do you feel it's important to highlight Black-owned businesses?
I think there's something really exciting about minority businesses, period. I think often as we go about our day, I mean, right now on the other side of my laptop, there's my bookshelf and my couch and my vacuum cleaner. And I think we don't often think that minorities are making these things as well, right?
Mm. Okay.
We have a company here in Milwaukee. She slangs wood, Tanda Thompson. She makes wood tables and bookshelves and fences, right? And so, like, for me, it became an opportunity to say, how much of my home can I stock with Black and other minority owned um, products? And it almost kind of became a challenge for me. And in that process, I learned that we make so much more than just bath and body products. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I just did an order today for a company called Pardo Naturals out of Atlanta, and it's cleaning stuff. I've purchased from her over the years, but I just recently, this is gonna be kind of gross, but I just recently tried her toilet cleaners. And it's
Okay.
this little thing, and you put it in your toilet. It sits for 10 minutes, gets all fizzy, and then you literally just go in and do a couple swirlies with your brush, and your toilet's clean. And I was like, oh, yeah, whatever I was using before, I'm not using no more. I only I only want this. And it's 20% off right now because she's running a sale. Yeah, let me go and stock up. And so I use her products for my dishwasher. I use her dishwashing liquid. Yeah, so like I think for me it became a challenge to just see how could I infuse my home with more of that. And I think the flip side is recognizing that it's a conscious choice to spend my dollar with people who look like me.
Mm, okay, I love that. And I did take a look at your guide, and first of all, it looks beautiful. So congratulations for putting out your first holiday guide. That's super exciting. And I did see a few things that I'm interested
Tell me
in
what you see. What you
purchasing.
see?
Well, the watch brand, that was the one that really caught my eye. So I did go to their website. I'm like, okay, let me see because I need I need a watch, even though, we don't use watches that a lot for telling time since we have our phones, but it's still nice. It's still a nice, jewelry piece for your outfits.
And let me tell you, when I told my dad I bought a watch, he was like, "Can you tell time on it?" And I was like, "It actually took me a little bit, Dad, because yeah, I'm
Mhm.
used to a digital clock on my phone." Let me also say that brand Spring Break out of North Carolina, you can find stuff on their website, but they're also sold at Nordstrom, Nordstrom Rack, and Macy's. So they
Oh,
have a ton of other colors at those three places. So look at them, look at those spots too.
okay,
I
absolutely.
currently own three of their watches. I'm a little addicted. I'm running out of dresser space, and I feel like the Lord is telling me, sis, you gotta chill. Like, you gotta
Mm,
chill. But it's interesting because to your point, we've been without watches for so long. And really, to some extent, also clocks in the house. Because you've got your cell phone, you've got your microwave. Man, when I get dressed and I decide to put on my watches, I just bought the black on black. Oh,
okay.
the black on black is so dreamy. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I love it so much. Yes, please. I have to go get. They have one that's called cookie dough. It's like cream. Whew. And they have one that is blue and gold. And I really want that.
Interesting.
And then I
I
told the
love
Lord I stop. But I'm not gonna stop.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I love that the products in your guide you've actually used and you've actually purchased and enjoy. How did you go about selecting the companies that you featured?
Good question. So we talk I included that in the guide, like the second page, because I thought people might be curious. It started with me researching what are the top, I guess, categories that people typically purchase during the holidays. I'm not a holiday shopper. Um, I shop for myself on the holidays. So I wanted to kind of know just statistically where are people spending their money during the holidays. From there, I looked to see did I have any Black owned brands that I'd already consumed in those categories, whether I currently own them or they were on the shopping list for me to purchase. And that's how we came up with it. I would say the exception was Threesome Chocolates. So in Milwaukee, we have three local chocolate companies at least. Um, one in Wauwatosa, one in the Harbor District, so over like by South First. And then we have one that is minority owned, South American Woman and White Husband. But I wanted this to be Black owned. I felt like the very first guy had to be completely Black owned. And so yeah, I researched Black owned chocolate companies. Threesome Chocolate came up. I purchased them and I actually tried them at the photo shoot because it was like, well, if their chocolate is garbage, we're just not going to take photos of it. But it
Mhm.
was so good, so creamy, so decadent. Ugh, so good. Oh my God, so good.
That's really cool. So, this was your first guy. Do you plan on continuing to create a new guy every year?
I'm so glad you asked. Absolutely. I mean, I think the holiday guide is going to be something that's annual. Right now, like today, my list of minority brands is at 559. So there's tons of content there. So the annual guide will be around this time every year, but I also want to do something called I want to do another guide. Let's say that. I want to do another guide. I'm working on it already. I've been generating ideas for it. And so there will be at least two guides a year from my company. And they'll each have their own identity and feel. So one will be obviously holiday guide and the other one it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. That's what I'll say.
Yes. Good, awesome. Now, since you've released this brand, I know you're doing a lot of marketing and promoting for it. You also still have your company that you're running as well. And I know that you are an introvert, and I'm just wondering, how are you handling doing all of the things
Not
right
well,
now?
not well.
Okay.
I almost canceled on you today. But I was like, if I cancel on Shayla, she gonna be like, girl, you asked me.
Right, right.
The truth is, with releasing the guide, so just part of my approach to all of the work that I do, it's often from a space of proof of concept, right? So
Yeah.
I've done marketing campaigns before, but each time I do it again, I add another layer to it. So this for me was a full press campaign, full marketing campaign on social media. So I'm doing 6 weeks of content just on social media, plus the interviews I've been doing. And then I have 50 locations that I'm dropping off flyers to. So part of the reason I'm exhausted is because yesterday I spent all day on the east side and the south side putting up flyers. Now I got to hit the north side and the west side. I think in terms of how I'm handling it, I know that this is part of the process and this is just how I want my campaigns to feel. So you just got to do it. So today I started my day much, much later. Like I'm just now taking down my hair. Um, I spent the day like washing dishes, cleaning my kitchen in my pajamas, in my moo looking a mess. Because I just felt so drained. But I think the other thing is recognizing when your capacity is low. And so just even me being able to check in with myself and say, you was out till 7 o'clock last night doing flyers. Tomorrow you're gonna have to start a little later. And we're gonna take a couple of days off of flyers and then hit it on Thursday. So I'm trying to find that balance so that I can do all the things, but also so that I can recharge. Because I think with introverts, as you know all too well, it's the recharging. So
Mm-hmm.
even something like putting out flyers, like it is kind of labor intensive. You're driving to different locations, you're engaging with people to ask them, can you put the flyer up? You're telling them what the flyer is. Like it felt like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It just listening to you talk about it sounds exhausting to me.
It's super exhausting, but for me, so some of my friends have asked me, like, well, what's the goal of the holiday guide in terms of what am I hoping in terms of downloads or whatever. I don't really have any thoughts on that. What's more of a success marker for me is getting the guide done. So I can check that off and
Yes.
executing a full scale marketing and PR campaign the way I want to do it. And I think with the advent of social media, we've forgotten about online marketing. But I'll tell you, I've probably gotten more responses with other campaigns that I've done to the flyers that I put up around the city than anything else. People are like, oh, I saw your flyer at this coffee shop. And so I know flyers work, which is why we put QR codes on them so people can download the guide for free there. Yeah, it's hard. I'm definitely taking a vacation December 1st, and kind of getting away from all the work for, some weeks.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Just sleep, or like, do you have any plans, or just play it by ear?
I was journaling about that because I have a tendency to go on vacation and still work.
Mm.
And so, or be stressed about work, stressed about money or whatever. Um, so I think I'm going to work out. I'm going to enjoy cooking in my kitchen, and I'm going to relearn how to walk in heels.
Okay.
I know that feels random, but let me tell you, for the next guide, I think being able to walk in heels is going to be very important for me. So this is something that I want for myself. And frankly, I've been wanting for years, just to like, especially post pandemic, like after during the pandemic and post, like I got a little heavier. I feel like it threw off my equilibrium in heels. But let's be clear, I didn't know how to walk in heels before the pandemic. It was giving very
Okay.
much Annalise Keating on How to Get Away with Murder. Now it's like, girl, don't even try it. Girl, don't. Right? It's not even Annalise anymore. And so for me, I've been wanting, when you talk about the guides and talk about some of these brands, let's talk about the flip side, which is I'm still new to a lot of people, right?
Hmm.
So there's a lot of folks who don't trust me with their brand. And so I want to make sure I look as effective as possible when I'm including different brands in my guide so that I can get more of that work because I really
Hmm.
do like lifting up small businesses. I found a denim company out in Atlanta that I am just Google gaga for. Like, oh, I love them so much. Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, that's really cool. And I'll be, happy for you when you absolutely do take a break, because I know you've been busy these last couple of months. And, like you mentioned, a lot of people, they'll plan a vacation, but then still be working, still be checking emails. And so I find that you really have to plan your vacation, even if you're not going anywhere. You still got to kind of make a tentative plan so that you are focused on other things outside of work. So, even if it's you want to, read some books, make a list of books you want to read, or binge watch. If you want to binge watch a show, you put that on your list, or spend time with your family and friends. Like, really really make a list of things that you want to accomplish so that you can actually do it and actually get the rest that your brain deserves.
Yes. And so I will say I do have a stack of books under my end table, ready to go, because that is the thing that I've been missing. Time to read. I
Hmm.
love reading. But the struggle is making sure that I'm not consuming myself with books that are work related.
Yeah.
How to market, how to start a business. Like I just want to read for fun. And the other thing I
Yeah.
might do is I might play some records on my record player. Yesterday I went out and bought Tribe Called Quest anthology album. So yeah, so I bought me a little like record player stand and all that. It's super cute, girl. And so yeah, like I'm like, dude, I could be on my couch with the windows open, listening to music, drinking tea. So I'm just really looking forward, I think, to leisure.
Mhm.
And this will be the first winter since I've been full time where I can have leisure and not have to worry about money.
Mm.
And so I really want to sit in that and enjoy that because as I was journaling last night, I recognized that this might have been one of my ancestors' dreams, right? To be able to not have to consistently worry about productivity.
Mhm.
Um, and I've been able to create that for myself this year. So I wanna sit in that and really enjoy that before I need to get back to work and start making things happen.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. That's amazing that you've reached that place because a lot of entrepreneurs, we are out here struggling. And so I'm definitely happy for you. Um, so you mentioned like music and reading. What are some other strategies that you use to like recharge, especially like now when you're so busy and all over the place? How do you keep your energy up?
I take a lot of naps.
Okay.
I take a lot of naps. I think one thing that really recharges me, I'm laughing because I don't know if I want to say this on a podcast, but one of my homegirls and her husband, they do a Friday night dinner every Friday. And I look forward to that at the end of the week, right? But sometimes other folks have things that happen on Fridays, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna go. And then they get closer, and I'll be like, I don't want to go. I want to go to my
Mhm.
homegirl house where I can sit on my her. And there's like a group of maybe 7 of us that get together at her home. We have dinner together. So literally today, the group chat was, "What's for dinner?"
Mm.
One of our home girls is vegetarian, so like we've been experimenting with more vegetarian dishes. But yeah, the thing that I didn't want to say that I'm gonna say is that I also made plans to be at one of my other homegirls events that
Okay.
overlaps. And I was like, do I feel like getting dressed up and doing that? Or do I want
Mm.
to put on some sweatpants and a hoodie and go to my other homegirl house? And when you talk about recharging, that's what that is for me every Friday. And it's crazy because I missed a couple Fridays just because I just didn't have the capacity. I was tired. I missed a couple Fridays. Somebody hopped in the group chat like, yo, what's going on with you? Like, is
Mm.
work really stressing you? So yeah, I would say that that's been something that recharges me. Um, And I would say being with a couple other friends really recharge me. So I don't know that I have a small friend group, but within that friend group, there's a few people who I'm like, I like to tap in with them regularly to kind of recharge. Obviously,
Mm.
not all the time because I'm an introvert, right? So like even this
Right.
thing on Friday, we get together maybe 6, we're done by 10.
Okay.
That's it. I don't have to think about food. I don't have to think about anything. I just show up. We watch a TV show together. We laugh. We giggle. And then I get to come back home. Like it really is the perfect way to spend a Friday night.
Mm. Yeah.
So that recharges me. When I have the capacity, so before things started getting really busy for me, making my own juice recharged me. I
Mm.
enjoyed that a lot. I enjoy being in my kitchen, trying new recipes, eating really good food,
Mhm.
really tasty food, but also food that's like good for my body and helps it recharge as well. Um, yeah, I think that's it. Those are the things.
Mhm. Yeah, those are some really good things. Yeah, I think the dinner every week, that sounds awesome. But I don't know. I think for me, like I hate having something on my calendar every single week. So
Mm.
I would love to have something like that where like I can just drop in, when I'm hungry and I feel in a sociable mood. But I probably would not show up every single week. But
when I can be there, I am, because you also know that
Mhm.
you're checking in with other people. Like, even though we have the group chat, some of us are more active in the group chat than others.
Mm,
And if
yeah.
we're all over capacity, you know what I'm saying? We're reading, but we may not be responding. So it's an opportunity to check in with people, to level set, to get some love and some hugs in and have a good meal. And I think what makes it easier for me to show up is that I don't have to cook.
Mm.
If this was on my calendar to host every Friday, that would be rough. Like,
Yes.
oh my God, that would give me so much anxiety. But to know that, and I think my friend and her husband are extroverts. So they actually
Gotcha.
enjoy hosting, they enjoy
Mm,
cooking these really great meals, right? And
yeah.
they like, it's, they don't ask like for us to like pay or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just do
Mm,
this and we show up. And so sometimes we'll put in money, like, hey, this was a much bigger dinner. Like, let me put some money in your
yeah.
cash app type thing. But no, so for me, it's the perfect amount of connection. And I'll say, prior to the pandemic, I never would have made time for something like this.
Mm,
Like, I was there with for my friends when they needed me, but I was in this hyper productive space that I'm still trying to like get out of, where like every minute of the day has to be going to something. And I think
mm,
that society has encouraged us to do that when you are working full time and side hustling, or when you're just a full time entrepreneur, right? And so I think for me, I've been really working to make sure the way that I live is aligned with my values.
mm,
I don't know that I value productivity more than I value just putting out great work. Even though I'm an entrepreneur and I'm really in my journey just beginning as a full time entrepreneur, I don't think I need to be ever present to be relevant. So
mhm,
I haven't really put out anything in a year. The last big thing that I did was Artist Eats Live, and that was last September. This is October. You know what I'm saying? And I love being able to put out things when I want to, because I think it gives people the opportunity to miss you, but it also gives me the
mm,
opportunity to live and to
yeah.
ideate. And I think that's something that I'm thinking about. I'll be thinking about on my break as well. How do I build my company and the production of media pieces without constantly being in a state of produce something, market it, release it, produce something, market it. I don't want that.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. We do live in a world where uh productivity is like this really big thing, and we always have to be spending our time doing something productive. And it's like why can't we just do nothing sometimes? Like, I
because
love doing nothing.
doing nothing is productive. Actually, like, it allows
Yeah.
you to get the juices flowing. It allows you to also step away from the thing. I think as entrepreneurs, and me and you have talked about this as friends, sometimes you are so deep in the thing that you don't look
Mhm.
out and like, oh, okay. And I will say, intentionally, right now in this moment, I am in the thing. I am in the holiday guide. I have not looked to see what metrics, how many downloads I've had. I turned off the notifications from my email so that I don't get a ping every time someone downloads it. So I have no idea the efficacy at this point of my efforts. No idea.
Hmm.
But part of me says it doesn't matter, because the people who got the guide love the guide.
Mhm.
They are saying it's beautifully produced, but it's also effective. It is moving people to those companies to look at these different products. And that, I think, is the goal, to get people to consider these other brands that maybe were never on their radar before.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah. That's kind of an interesting approach that you have, because a lot of business owners like are so concerned with like the metrics and the numbers and all of that stuff, which I think is important. But sometimes just doing the thing and putting it out there is even more important, especially for somebody like me who will drag my feet. I'll have ideas and then just never get around to actually putting it out there. So I congratulate you for, getting it done because I know you've been talking about this guide. And so I'm really excited for you that it's out and I want you to keep going.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think again, going back to this idea of metrics, like when I come back from my little sabbatical, I will look at the metrics, right? I'll look at the
Mhm.
posts. I will look at to a point you made earlier. I've taken the numbers down to see how many folks, how many like between like spring break, the watch company, how many followers, shared followers do we have right now? I'm gonna check that again when I
Mhm.
come back to see if that number is increased, right? Because what that tells me is some people have gotten the guide and gone and liked the company on social media, right? Even if they're not ready to buy yet, the fact that they're now checking on in on the brand, like that's a metric I can use. I'll be looking to see, did my downloads increase when this episode was released, right? So I'm looking at the metrics, but I'm not necessarily looking at them as a barometer for success. I'm looking
Mhm.
at it to see, well, what do I want to do with the next guy? So if all of this effort is what it got me, so like case in point, you are now the second person I'm telling this. I'm probably not doing another press campaign for a while. I think I want to invest the money in a billboard. Why not? Right? I think I would rather invest the money that I've spent, hiring a PR person and all that type of stuff. I think I want to flip that and put that into marketing to
Mhm.
do, excuse me, do more flyers, do more ads. There's just a whole bunch of things I can do. And so, yeah, like the metrics for me help to guide, well, what do we do next with this information versus using it to say like this was a failure or whatever. Because I think when you just look at the numbers, it only tells a portion of the story.
Right.
There's a lot of folks, for example, somebody from Minnesota. I don't have any ads out for the guide. Someone in Minnesota found my guide on Instagram.
Mm.
And I was like, how'd you find me? And she's like, I'm not really sure. You showed up in my feed somehow. And I'm like,
Mm.
oh. She's like, but I'm glad you did because I'm going to download your guide when I get home, right? That for me is a quantitative metric. Yeah, I can measure her because she started following me and I followed her back and her name will show up on the guide. But this idea that she was so excited about it that she then shared the content, right? And that she's
Mm.
really gonna be checking in and like checking in on me. And hopefully maybe there's some opportunities we can collab because she's doing some stuff with black businesses out in Minneapolis. That's really cool. We had the chance to talk. But I say all that to say there's other metrics that don't show up in the numbers. And I for my company, again talking about this idea of no PR plan beyond this, like this probably being my last PR campaign for a while. What I want to build with Catera is the way our friendship is, right? You my girl. You my girl. Okay. You call me, I'm running. What Shayla need? What my booski need, right? You know what I'm saying? But our relationship doesn't require us to be checking in with each other every day throughout the day, right?
Right.
I know you working, I'm working, when we get together, we not gonna be working and we gonna spend quality time together. That is the relationship I want to build with people through my company, where you
Mm.
don't have to see me every day online, right? But when I release a product, I want y'all to support it. When I release the thing, I want y'all to be checking for me, right? And what does it look like to build a community just on my website? Where it's just us, where we don't need the press. I don't need the media to talk about what we're doing because we're a community and we take care of each other. I like the idea of only the cool kids knowing what's happening, right? So, like in my mind, you're a cool kid because you downloaded the guide and maybe your neighbor didn't. Maybe your neighbor doing Christmas shopping at one of the big box stores, but she ain't seen spring break watches. So it don't matter where she going to get her watch from. It ain't spring break. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
Yeah.
something that really appeals to me from a value perspective. And that's really what I'm trying to build. Really just trying to move in a way that is aligned with my values and more importantly, doesn't force me to move beyond being an introvert. I am an introvert and there's only so much stimulation I can take.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Well, Kanita, it has been great chatting with you. I could talk to you all day, but before we go, I just wanted to give you an opportunity if there's anything else that you want to share with our listeners, you can do that now, or if you just want to let us know where we can find you and find your guide, you can do that also.
Yeah. Well, first, I will say thanks for having me on your platform. It's been, hearing you say earlier, like how it sometimes takes you a while because you be dragging your feet. I feel like this podcast was one of those things where that was not the case. Where I feel like, was it a year ago? Maybe a year or
Yeah.
two ago, but it was winter. It was our down period because we were talking about strategy. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do a podcast," and I just felt like, "WTF? Like what? What is going on?" And then you had it up, and you
Yeah.
was in these streets. You know what I'm saying? And me, you had conversations about, how you will learn how to do the thing, right? Where I'm like, I ain't doing that. I'm only gonna learn how to do the things that I know how to do so I can get better at it. Stuff I don't know how to do, I'm gonna pay somebody to do it. And if I can't pay nobody to do it, that's the Lord telling me I don't need it. And so like seeing what you've done and building this is really cool. So I want to congratulate you for that. For your audience though, the guide will be out until December 31st. So it will come down January 1st because the holiday season will officially be over. So folks have from now until December 31st to get it. Yeah, you can get it through my Instagram page at Catera Music, so Catera Music, or at my Instagram page, Artist Eats. You can also find me on LinkedIn at Kennita Hickman. But on Instagram, the link to the website is in the bio. You do have to give your email address, but you don't have to sign up for my newsletter. So,
Oh,
yep, you can just enter your email address and don't check the box that says subscribe me to the newsletter, and then it'll come right to your inbox.
nice. Awesome. So we'll have those links in our show notes so we can definitely check you out on social media and download your guide as well. Again, thank you so much, Kanita, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Shayla. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And thank you to our audience for listening. This has been another episode of the Building Her Dream podcast. If you've enjoyed it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, leave us a review, and stay up to date with what we're doing by visiting www.buildingherdream.com.